sometimes when we love teaching, it doesn't feel like it loves us back, right? A few years ago, I was introduced at a keynote that I was giving. And the words, I was introduced by a colleague of mine. And it was really one of the most touching introductions that I've received or been given, because after spending a little bit of time in my classroom, he really saw what teaching was about for me. And on this week of Love Teaching, I realized that his words really aren't just for me, that his words are for all of us, and I think that they are for you too. I think that they are for anyone who understands that love isn't a thing that you give, but it is a state that you live. So I wanted to read some of those to you. He wrote, I would like to graciously thank and recognize all teachers that toil daily in order to help students create a better vision of self. Unfortunately, we do not find love your students on any rubric or continuum. Somehow we have allowed this to become something soft, a lowering of the bar, if you will. We cannot love our students to proficiency, but I beg to differ and remind us that while multiple measures, metrics, achievement, inter-rater reliability all contribute to more highly reliable organizations, loving kids will lead them to a love for learning. Having said this, I can assure you that your students are keenly aware of how much you love them. And I think that those words resonate for me when I think about what this week is about, when I think about all of the teachers that I know who love so unconditionally the people who walk in their classrooms and this work that we do. I'm going to take maybe one more question. Okay, so here's the question. I'm teaching in a male juvenile prison setting, and it's rewarding most of the time, but it has become exhausting. Any advice? Oh my goodness, we love you. Terry, we love you for doing this work. And for making sure that people who would otherwise be invisible are not. And that's what I want to say to you right now, is that I know that this work must be incredibly exhausting for you. But I hope that you can take solace in their stories. And one of the things that I have learned about teaching is that it's about planting seeds and not storms, right? You are planting seeds, and every day that you leave exhausted and tired, I want you to remember that you're planting a seed. You also need to know that you have to take care of yourself, and I know it sounds so trite, right? It sounds so cliche. Take care of yourself, love yourself, but it's really true. You have to be able to fuel yourself, and you also have to step back enough to be able to see the truth about what's going on. So ask them what they love. Ask them to reflect on what they have learned. Ask them what's going well, what they would change. And sometimes just asking those questions can lead you to some of the most important responses to find that ongoing motivation. So we're getting close to the end here for tonight, and I just want to say why I love teaching. And there are so many words that I could choose, and I can't seem to put them together. Every time I try to talk about why I love teaching, I seem to lose my own words. So I thought I would borrow a few. I wanted to borrow some from Mary Oliver. Maybe some of you know this poem. It's one of her most beloved. It's called Wild Geese, and I'd like to share it with you now. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert, repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. I'm not sure if teaching is life or life is teaching, but I think that Mary Oliver gets that. In my classroom, some of her words are in the front of the room. I see them every day when I walk in. This question, what will you do with your one wild and precious life? I know what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to teach with it. I love teaching and I teach love. I'm not sure which is greater, but I know that they both are important. So thank you for joining this Ask Sarah Live event, for tuning in and supporting this work. You will be able to catch transcripts of portions of the show and video on my blog on Sunday, which you can find at sarahbrownwessling.com. As always, a big, huge, special thank you to Teacher to Teacher for making this possible. And for all of you teachers who didn't leave the restaurant, but decided to stay and celebrate love teaching, I commend you. As I often tell my students, a good question is always better than a good answer, so keep those questions coming. You can submit them to us via Facebook, Twitter, or at the Ask Sarah tab on my webpage, which you can find at sarahbrownwessling.com. Good night.